I've been testing the new Satellai collar, and honestly, my first impressions were pretty positive. The price point caught my attention at just under $500. The battery life claims sounded impressive, and some of the unique features like health tracking and the lighter design seemed like real improvements over bulkier alternatives. During my initial hands-on testing, everything seemed to work fine. The setup was straightforward, the app looked clean, and the collar felt well built. I was genuinely excited about some of the innovations that Satellai was bringing to the market. But here's the thing, initial impressions and real-world performance under rigorous testing conditions can be very different stories. So I decided to put Satellai through the same head-to-head testing protocol that I use for all GPS collars. I tested it directly against SpotOn to see how it really stacks up. What I found was honestly concerning, and it completely changed my perspective on this product. Before we dive into the results, let me explain how we test these collars. Pampered Pup is a team effort. Zach and I co-host the channel, and for this review, Zach handled the field testing. We don't rely on casual backyard trials. We set up real testing conditions that actually matter. Zach created a boundary using rope in an area with decent tree coverage because that's where GPS tends to struggle in the real world, right? Each collar was tested 5 separate times, approaching the same boundary line. And we used colored flags to mark exactly where each feedback happened. We're basically looking for 3 things: how accurate it is, how consistent it is, and most importantly, will it actually work when your dog's safety depends on it? Because that's what really matters here. All right, so after putting all collars through the exact same testing, the results were honestly pretty shocking. Let me walk you through what happened with each one of them. SpotOn was absolutely perfect. Every single test, every feedback stage worked exactly as designed. It was impressive. The boundary feedback was tight, consistent, and reliable, not one failure across all 5 tests. And then there's Satellai. And this is where things get really concerning. Despite the app sometimes showing the collar had crossed the boundary, Satellai failed to deliver any boundary feedback within 30 feet of the programmed line in all 5 tests, every single one. The Satellai collar was acting like some of the really old GPS collar technology that we've tested in the past. It was incredibly slow to respond, and when it did respond, it was often while the collar was still well within the safe area. But when approaching or crossing the actual boundary line where you need it to work, nothing. Even during setup, we started noticing red flags that honestly got overlooked during some of our initial casual testing. The location accuracy was pretty poor, like the collar would show up on the map nowhere near where the phone actually was. The fence setup process felt clunky compared to the others, and when we looked closer at the app reviews, they were pretty concerning. But the real problem became obvious during testing. While casual use around the yard seemed fine at first, our more rigorous testing made it clear that Satellai just can't deliver consistent boundary feedback when it actually counts, at least not the version that we tested. Here's the thing people need to understand. These aren't just convenience gadgets. GPS dog collars are safety devices. When your dog's heading toward a busy road or any other hazard, you need absolute confidence that the collar's going to work exactly as designed every single time. 100% critical failure rate means this collar simply can't be trusted with your dog's safety. It doesn't matter how good the battery life is, how nice the app looks, or how appealing that price point seems if the core function doesn't work when you need it the most. This testing really reinforced why SpotOn has stayed at the top of my recommendations. Beyond that perfect performance in testing, there are some practical advantages that make a real difference. You can actually walk your boundary with the SpotOn collar to program it, which means that you get exactly the fence that you want. There's no required subscription for the basic containment features. They include professional training support, and you get real US-based customer service with actual phone support when you need help. Yeah, SpotOn is definitely the more expensive option, and you can see the breakdown on screen. But when we're talking about your dog's safety, that price difference really starts to feel pretty meaningless if the cheaper option doesn't work when it matters most. We've also got a discount link in the description if you're considering SpotOn and you want to save a little bit of money. So I have to be completely honest with you guys. I really wanted to like Satellai. The feature list looked promising. My initial testing seemed positive, and I'm always excited when new companies bring innovation to this space. But rigorous testing tells a completely different story. I just can't recommend Satellai based on these results. A GPS collar that fails to provide boundary feedback 100% of the time under testing conditions is just not something that I can endorse for your dog's safety. For anyone looking at GPS collar options, SpotOn is still my clear top recommendation. If budget is a major concern, Halo showed acceptable performance in my testing, though I would be extra careful about setting boundaries near any real hazards. I'll keep an eye on Satellai to see if they can address these fundamental performance issues, but as it stands right now, I just can't recommend this product despite some pretty appealing features on paper. And as always, if you decide SpotOn is the right fit for your situation, I've got discount links down in the description below. Let me know what your experiences have been with GPS collars, and don't forget to subscribe for more honest, testing-based reviews. See you next time.